James Gunn did an interview, and we need to discuss it. I know Alan has a take on this. We've got the notes from the Times. James Gunn. Some people will take offense at my new Superman, and this must be a UK-based paper because they misspelled offense. But Badger, if you would.
James Gunn's Superman arrives at a time when the world feels like it desperately needs a hero, not just one who can fly or lift buildings, but one who represents hope, morality, and basic kindness. The film sheds the weight of past reboots and introduces the Man of Steel, played by David Cornsweet, fully formed, already working at the Daily Planet, already dating Lois Lane, and already battered from battle with Lex Luthor's goons in the opening minutes. There are 3 things I don't ever need to see again in a superhero movie, Gunn jokes, ticking off overused origin tropes like Batman's alleyway and Spider-Man's spider bite. He skips the baby rocket from Krypton entirely. Instead, Gunn delivers a Superman story fit for 2025, timely, tight at 2 hours, and unafraid to ask serious questions like, should Superman have stopped a war? Through a bold 10-minute scene of Clark and Lois debating geopolitics. At its core, the film isn't just about heroism, it's about humanity. Gunn explains it's about politics, but on another level, it's about morality. While Lois argues for pragmatic justice, Superman remains steadfast in his refusal to kill. The debate is heartfelt, not heavy-handed, and speaks to today's fractured discourse. Gunn's Superman is playful, kind, and yes, joined by a flying superdog in a cape named Crypto. Still, the film's deeper resonance comes from Superman's legacy as a refugee, written by sons of immigrants and long embraced as a symbol of belonging. Superman is the story of America, Gunn says, but for me, it's mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost. When critics sneer at Cornsweet's gentleness, calling him soft for high-fiving kids, Gunn doesn't hold back. Screw them. In a world burning with online rage and global uncertainty, Gunn offers not just a blockbuster, but a fable, a call to be just a little bit kinder.
What do you guys think? Because I have seen so many thumbnails for people saying, you know, James Gunn, I'm fucked. I'm just all this, like, it's like people are way overreacting to this quote. I think he's saying, 69. Look, Superman is a nice guy in a world that doesn't like nice guys. He didn't say, I think if you're looking at it from one political side, you could be offended. But I really think the guy who wrote this was baiting him. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I think it's leaning in. The criticisms is about the dog whistle angle.
Yes.
You know, just by saying the word immigrant, it just conjures up everything, all the politics today. And that's when you say the interview was probably baiting him. I think that's what this is. It's to say that. Look, I probably on the panel, I'm the closest thing to an immigrant. My parents, my mom wasn't born here. My dad is first generation Chinese. But I mean, I kind of get it. You know, I grew up, Superman crash landed on a planet. He's the only one of his kind in the sense of he's not like everybody else around him. I've certainly been in that position where, you know, grew up in South Central, then moved to an all-white neighborhood. Not like I grew up around people who were like me. And to James Gunn's point, the reason I survived is because, you know, everyone around me liked each other. You know, we all just got along. That's you do, the American dream.
You assimilated.
In South Central, it was me. You know, I befriended, my best friend was black. You know, my mom, she got to know the Jewish family in our community. And like I said, the American dream was just the fact that everyone from everywhere can come here. And if you put the work in, you're going to make the American dream come true. And that's certainly what my parents did. So I kind of see it, you know, if I look at James Gunn's comments from that angle, it seems to make all the sense in the world.
I just think people are overreacting to this quote. I think Gunn was baited into making this political,
a controversial statement for clicks.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
Here's my problem with that. This is exactly why James Gunn shouldn't be doing interviews, doing a lot of interviews anyway, because he does go back and forth with people on social media. He likes to get into the mud with everybody else and clap back and talk and say what it is that he wants to say, instead of being, media savvy and understanding, hey, this guy is trying to finesse me into an answer that's going to give him a headline that everybody's going to click on. Instead of understanding that, he just blurts out the answer, and now everybody's talking about it, and his movie is going to suffer because of it.
It's what Alan said.
Back.
Yeah, I mean, he probably had all the right intentions in the words he said.
Of course,
couldn't step back and realize, no, he's falling into a trap.
Yeah, exactly. And also people are taking a modern day interpretation of what immigrant means. Superman comes from an arguably superior civilization and people. He did not come here for a better life. He had a better life there. His fucking planet exploded. He had to come here. And the only best thing he can do is take the best parts of his Kryptonian heritage and inspire us to reach that level. This is not like someone coming from fucking Mexico and being like, I hope you guys can get as great as Mexico was. And all that. It's like, so that's why he's a refugee who then assimilated Earth and specifically American culture.
Yeah, experience all the best values of America and the American dream
to American parents.
Became Superman because of that.
Yeah,
I just think it's like people are trying to find something to be upset about with it. That's the feeling I get. Now, other people will criticize me for like, no, come on, but I think the guy who wrote this article has TDS.
Is this the gayest Superman? Would you think this is the? It's that type of shit.
It's that. It's someone is really baiting and trying to, and Gunn is trying to dance around. Now, in the past, he has been political. I think he's learned his lesson, backed off. But
has he?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, more than others.
Yeah, more than others, but I mean, he's still willing to get down and dirty with people and clap back. That's what I don't like about it. Look, Bob Iger has more political media savvy than James Gunn as a head of a studio or head of an organization. You got to know when to shut the hell up. All right. And
when you're
just
the head of a
back
studio,
off of all of your commentary and just be like, you know what? Go see the movie. I hope you enjoy it. I made it for everybody. I hope the world loves it. Give some pat answer and just move on. Get out of the interview, because you knew that this guy was going to try to bait you into a clickbait headline, and that's exactly what happened. And now again, he's the one that's suffering for it. His movie's going to suffer for it, and maybe his universe will suffer for it, because this guy doesn't understand how to shut up. Maybe he needs to get Peter Safran to do all the interviews when it comes to the DCU. Maybe that's what he needs to do.
He needs Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers to contact him. Shout out to Eric July, who told the story of like once he became prominent with Ripperverse and all that, like Jeremy politely was like, hey bro, you're the head of a very like prominent comic thing now with a lot of money and people involved. You can't be reply guying to people anymore.
Right.
He's the head of DC Studios.
That's what James Gunn don't get.
It is time to stop responding to everyone. Yes, correct.
Yeah. That's his problem. That's his major problem. All right. I think this guy knows comics better than a lot of other, creators out there. The one line that he gave in Peacemaker about Batman, I don't want to say it, but when Batman basically his coterie of supervillains and why Batman doesn't kill and all this other, like that told me right there that James Gunn understands the comic books. All right, he understands the lore, he understands the conversations that even comic book fans have about the characters. So James Gunn is locked in. He knows what's up, but he just talks too much. And he just needs to fall back and be a director. Chris Nolan doesn't get into this kind of trouble. All right. Chris Nolan just makes movies and he just puts them out there and he has a small little interview and that's it. That's who James Gunn needs to be.
He's not on social media. That's why.
That's what James Gunn needs to be. Not on social media. You're the head of a studio. All right. Fall back.
I don't care what the politics are of filmmakers. I look, in Hollywood, I assume everybody's a liberal. Everybody is pretty much on the left that directs a movie. You might find one or two directors who might stand out and say, no, but for the most part, they're all liberal. They're all leftists. So that means what? Don't watch any movie. My problem is the just being vocal about it, right? You can have all the politics you want. As long as you can tell a decent story, I don't care. And you can even tell a leftist story. If it's good, I'll watch it and I'll give it credit for being good. The problem is the conversations, right? The conversations online, the social media, that's the problem.
Oh, well, you know why that is, right? Because we're now caught in a proxy war between Gunn Gooners and Snyder bros that will just use any example to fight because of some real double standards, but also the fact that, yeah, they're just going to keep fighting. I just want to watch this movie and enjoy it.
It's funny. If this comment were about Man of Steel, I'd understand it more.
Man of Steel was political too. In that one, he had Krypton
and I
go
think
away
these
because
comments fit more into Man of Steel than this one.
If you go back, Zack Snyder had Krypton be destroyed because they used all their natural resources, even though they were spacefaring and could have got natural resources from. So, like, it's not that it wasn't there, but when Man of Steel was promoting, Zack Snyder wasn't every other second saying shit. Henry was the forefront of it, and David is not the forefront.
Weren't as hyper political as they are now.
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
The author of this article definitely had an agenda when it came to this interview, because this was a very long article. It was a very lengthy interview with James Gunn. So he definitely had like an idea of what he wanted to write, and he asked those right questions to James Gunn in order to get those answers from him. Because there was definitely an angle. He went on and talked about like James Gunn's battle with Trump and his history with Trump. And he talks about how do you think this movie will play in blue states as opposed to red states. So there was definitely an angle here, and James Gunn completely just
fell into it. Yeah, absolutely. He fell into the trap. And you know what? He fell into the trap, and he said what he said. So whether he was baited or not and didn't shut up, he still said what he said, and so the things that he said, people didn't like, and that's why they were talking about it. But yeah, his idea of Superman being about truth, justice, and the human way, and no longer the American way. Towards the end of this article, it talks about how the reason they went to that was because his market research showed him that people liked it from a more international perspective. So he's a hero for the world and not just America. You know what I mean? So he definitely played into this guy's hand, for sure, 100%. But I'm still going to be like, I don't like the things that he says, and I'm going to talk about it. Because he said what he said in this interview. So,
well, it's really going to be all about the movie now. They've done the promotion, they've done TikToks, they've done staring contests and little cute videos. With lots of clips, we've seen a lot of it now. But an early leaked Superman review came out, and it's not looking good. And tonight we will see the social reaction to the movie, and tomorrow we'll do a special Film Threat After Dark stream because we will have seen the film. This early review, I don't know if you got notes there, Badger, but it's not looking good. I think at best case, the reaction to this movie will be mixed. Terrible new Superman movie is final nail in superhero cinema's coffin.
It also depends who wrote it, though.
Nick Shager wrote it.
Yeah, no, I don't have notes for this one.
But basically, he's. You go through a lot of it. Is a lot of the synopsis of the story. We won't get into it. This review was up for about 5 minutes before it was pulled. But I don't know. What do we think? The reviews are coming.
There's good ones that have leaked too, like saying the opposite. Like, I don't want to get in trouble, but I had the polar opposite experience. I know.
Everyone I know who's seen it, like I know at least 2 people, they had opposite opinions.
I think you're either going to like it or hate it. Like, it's either going to be very extreme reactions.
Well, I think the reaction's been mixed. I talked to 2 people who saw a test screening. One said loved it, like Fantastic Four is in trouble. This movie's great. It's really fun. I do think from what we've seen, it looks like a movie more for families or kids. It's a very accessible, fun, more comic book Superman. Not a brooding, goth, dark. It's like, Batman and Superman are very different types of characters tone-wise. And Zack Snyder made a Superman movie with the tone of a Batman.
Gunn said it. It's a world where there's portals and aliens and all that shit from comic books. Like,
Yes.
One of the negative reviews said it played like a Saturday morning cartoon. That to me is a good thing because it goes
Yeah.
to the good review that said it's like Superman the animated series. So
Yeah, I don't mind that.
yeah,
When as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, that's what I've
that's a
been waiting on."
positive.
Yeah.
In my book.
Yeah, I've been waiting on that.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's weird. It's a litmus test. And look, I think I like Man of Steel. I'm not a Snyder bro. I like Man of Steel, but I also like original Superman, Man of Steel. I could very well like this as well. It's his own thing, but it seems like a very, very sharp turn from what Superman was. Also, what I do like about it, what I've seen, very comic book colored. I don't like the cinematographer, but I like that it's bright.
Yeah.
And
treat it
I
like a
don't mind
different
it.
run of a
I love
comic.
the brightness of it because you're absolutely right. Batman and Superman have two very distinct settings, and I want a Superman movie to be very bright. So I do like the.
Do you want to read this review, Badger? Do you have the link?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I can.
Are there? I mean, are there
wait,
legit
are there-
spoilers in here?
Are there spoilers in this review?
Because I would rather not read it if there's spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
and I don't
You know
wanna
what?
hear it
There
either.
are. So forget it.
Okay.
We won't read. But I put the
Yeah.
link in the description or in the private chat if you want to look at it. But it does go into more of the story than I've ever seen anything so far.
Yeah, I would much rather learn that when I first see it than
Which I feel like I've seen
You guys
already
review.
from all the copious amounts of leaks that now go in sequential order. You could basically see the first part of the movie. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but apparently it was the editor at the Daily Beast who accidentally pressed publish instead of schedule.
Oh.
Right.
That's how it got
Accidentally.
out.
Yeah, but what are we?
Yeah, I know the guy that he's a big Zack Snyder fan, the writer of that article. That Tom from Midnight's Edge had actually found that information and posted it up on X. He's a huge Zack Snyder fan. He hated Sinners. I mean, you gotta have you gotta start looking at what these reviewers have reviewed before.
Yeah.
To kind of line up with where they are with a lot of movies. You can't just say, "Oh, okay, he didn't like the movie." Okay, well, what else didn't he like, or what else has he liked, and then start putting the pieces together that way.
Yeah,
but
which is
other
why
than
we're
that-
drawn to certain critics versus other critics.
shout out to Tom.
Was the
I'm the one
author
who
of the
kinda lines
article a Snyder fan, or was the person that shared it on X a Snyder fan? Because I know the person that shared it on X was a Snyder fan. The author was a Snyder fan as well.
Yeah. If I can find it, I'll find it for you. Nick
Yeah,
Shager.
Shout out to
Big
Tom
time.
for being one of the
Tom from
first
Midnight
people to post comic captures when everyone complained about Superman breaking through Lex Luthor's door. Like multiple comic captures of Superman breaking through Lex Luthor's door. Like they are just pulling from the OG comics.
Yeah. I don't know. I just want to see it now. I'm tired of clips.
Yeah, I know.
I'm tired of
Me
like
too, man.
social media promotion. I want to see it and judge for myself. It might be one of those things where it's so very different. I had this experience with Man of Steel. It was so very different than previous incarnations of Superman. It took me a while to appreciate it. I liked it more. I think, and I will say this, maybe this is controversial. I think Man of Steel has aged well.
It's aged like fine wine, Chris.
I like the Krypton stuff. I like
Yep.
parts of it. I mean, make fun of me all you want. When I first saw it, I really was like shocked by it. And then the more I saw it years later, I really liked it. I like the Hans Zimmer score. It's not Donner Superman. It's different, more serious take. Chris Nolan famously worked on it, so it was very different. I've come to appreciate it.
It's Earth One. Like all these movies are just based on different comic runs. And I wish we could just look at all the different movies as different runs of comics by different artists and writers. They
Right.
all hit something right and they all hit something wrong.
But
Some hit more right
what
than
I'm
wrong,
saying
but-
is we might see James Gunn's Superman, and then when we see it, need kind of time to process. I don't know. What do you guys think? And
I mean, I'll say that my expectations are low, which is probably a good thing going in.
yeah,
Then
I think
I'm
all of
not going to go in expecting Christopher Reeves. And I'm definitely not going to go in thinking I'm going to see Man of Steel's, which is good.
I like
Anyone
Badger's
else?
take on it. Different comic runs, that's how we should
Yeah.
look at it. I actually recently rewatched Superman Returns, and I liked it a lot better than I remember liking it.
He's a great
I'm
Superman.
going into this new Superman movie optimistic. I see it tomorrow, so I'm excited. But I'm going into it optimistic. I want it to be good because I want some really good DC superhero movies again. I want to look forward to the next DC movie. So I'm going in there optimistic. I'm trying to, tune out everything that James Gunn has said, everything that I've read, and so I'm optimistic about it.
Well, here's James Gunn.
Yeah. Dan Mora, one of my favorite artists, but notice how James is in front
Right.
over Superman.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing. I hope Superman is good because then it'll make watching Fantastic Four palatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would really hate to go into Fantastic Four just seeing a bad Superman movie.
Here we go. Midnight Said After Dark. Another example of the media being an issue is the recent London Times interview. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah. People have twisted that story for sure.